Hey guys, in this video I'll show you some of the main things that I have learned from analyzing our students' results. And our students in our program eCommerce Scaling Secrets have generated over $20 million in sales just from the beginning of this year. I've basically analyzed the results of the students and kind of like try to understand why some people are more successful than others with e-commerce and with drop shipping and all of these things that we are helping them to do, and why some people are able to achieve very fast results in a very short time frame and other people cannot. And you can see here, so I'll share now, so this is just one of our students, Karl. So you can see his results and what he was able to achieve with the program.
London, UK. Working with Alex has been massive for us. It's taken our revenue and our profit numbers, up several multiples. When we started with Alex, we were doing about $1,000 a day, making an okay profit, but not really having anything as sustainable as a business. And Alex really helped us focus on the opportunities that were obvious in front of us that we were overlooking, trying to, go too many steps ahead. He really helped us focus and say, this is what is working for you right now, but you can make this 10 times bigger. Just focus on this, put enough concentrated effort into this. So he really helped us do that. And we, within quite maybe 2 weeks, we scaled from about $1,000 to $1,500 a day up to about $7,000 US dollars a day. Alex then helped us navigate through coronavirus. That made a lot of changes to how shipping worked and the kind of products you could sell. So he was really helpful with that. He has so many contacts he can share, in terms of resources, software you should use, people you should use. We started using one of his drop shipping agents that changed things for us massively because they're much more reliable than our previous shipping agent. So that really allowed us to focus on the marketing. It was a huge help for us. So after the program, we've been left with, we've scaled our team up, we've scaled our revenue up. We really feel we know what we're doing and how we can get to the next level beyond that. Thanks very much, Alex.
So you can see Karl, he scaled his business from $1,000 a day to basically $7,000 a day in very short period of time. And when I think about Karl, there's some things about him that I think a lot of the successful entrepreneurs, a lot of the successful dropshippers are able to achieve. First of all, he's taking the advice that's given to him and he's actually implementing. There is this type of people, and you might see those people in many of the Facebook groups or on YouTube, or they just basically collecting information. They go to this video and they watch it and they're listening to this, and they go to this video and they're listening and they're commenting a lot. But then if you ask those people whether they have actually taken that advice and implemented it, they most likely they wouldn't, right? That they haven't implemented the advice, so they would just collect the information. They would just collect information from different sources, but they wouldn't actually apply it. So for Karl, for example, he's taken the advice, he implemented it, right? So being action taker and actually taking the information and the insights is one of the most important things that you can do, right? So especially if you're in some kind of mentorship program or taking advice from someone, it's very important to actually take that advice and implement it to actually get the results, which is kind of obvious and very common sense. But for a lot of people, they just accumulate the advice and they probably take the satisfaction in learning a lot, which is awesome. But then to actually get the results and get the transformation, get the evolution, you have to actually implement it. So that's number one. Number two is being a critical thinker. So with Karl, for example, so he scaled very well in one of the markets, right? One of the international markets. Also, that's kind of where he had his initial breakthroughs. But then he has evaluated all of the other markets and he made the necessary adjustments to do well in those markets. So for example, in that international market, he was doing $100,000 per month in sales, Now he has transitioned to other markets and he does even better. So he has realized kind of the limitations of that market, right? Obviously with some feedback, with some back and forth, but he has realized the limitations of that market. So now he's working on the markets that have the bigger like limits. Now, with that being said, getting momentum initially in some of the smaller markets, like for example, if you do like in Europe, let's say in German market, we have quite a few students operating in Dutch market is doing very well. We have students operating in Italian market. We have students operating in the French market. So, I mean, those smaller markets, I mean, you can still get to like $100,000, $300,000, $500,000 per month in those like smaller markets, right? There is like a ceiling there, but also at the same time, I see a lot of people, they want to go and just like be like in the international market, which is awesome, right? But then if you want to be in the international market, then you need to have some type of advantage. So if you're in the local market, probably there is not a lot of competition. And if you're translating everything, so you have the advantage over people that just trying to advertise, their offers like in English, right, to those countries, because you're translating, you're more relevant to the local population. And then at the same time, obviously it has its limitations, right? But you can get to 100, depending on the market, but like even the smallest markets, you probably can get to $100,000 per month in sales. So for example, in Europe, markets like Poland, you can do like 100, 300, sometimes $500,000 per month if you're operating a store there. Now there are certain like logistical things and issues like in each of the local markets, so that's another conversation, but just kind of like critical thinking, understanding that, okay, so it's best to operate in this market, get the initial advantage there, get the initial traction there, and then to transition to some other markets. And some people are just like, okay, so I just want to do this market and this is it. You have to be able to kind of like evaluate all of those things in perspective and understand that if you have this certain like competitive advantage here, if you can get initial traction here and then you can evolve and kind of like critically think about it, that another thing that I see with some of our like very successful students. And another number 3 is understanding the bottlenecks of each like platform. So for example, Karl is advertising on Facebook, right? And he does very well with it. We have some students that have gotten to like $1 million, $1.5 million per month on Facebook, right? And they have just got to the point where it's like Facebook just was too aggressive to them, right? So they got the accounts banned and all of these things that are happening, obviously, and the bigger the volume is, the more vulnerable you are, because, for example, if Facebook bans your accounts and you don't have like the good like system for replacing the accounts, or just maybe it becomes like too complex for you to manage on Facebook, if it constantly becomes like a battle of you versus the other like elements. So instead of focusing on how to sell the product, how to be more efficient in marketing, you're focusing on how to recover the ad accounts or how to not get your account shut down. So that just becomes like a focus on the wrong thing. So then they stood those limitations. And so for example, we have students that have transitioned to Google. We have students that have transitioned to, for example, native advertising. We have students that have transitioned to Pinterest advertising. So they have found these like, okay, so that's the advertising platform that I can fully focus on, and it will have less limitations. I don't have to focus on getting accounts banned. I don't have to focus on getting my page feedback score dropped. And so all of these things that naturally happen on those platforms like Facebook. Facebook is an amazing platform. You can do a lot of volume and you can get initial like amazing traction in Facebook, but then you also have to understand that there are other advertising platforms that you can diversify and get traction with. Number 4, guys, is so our successful students, they're like part of the community and they're helping other people out. So basically sharing what's working for them and also taking the advice from other people and using the collective like knowledge, right? Because if you think about it, like drop shippers, us as or like even e-commerce entrepreneurs or overall like e-commerce like entrepreneurs, we are this like cluster of the population that just goes like against the odds, right? Like, so for example, there are like regulations, certain regulations, there are certain laws, like government and stuff like that, kind of like puts its own kind of like limitations how we can and cannot operate, right? There is like Facebook, right, with its policies, with like page feedback, with banned ad accounts, banned business managers, that has its own like limitations that it puts on us. Then there is, for example, just overall like marketing. So we are in competitive environment. We're with other people. Some people are more ethical, some people less ethical, and so we kind of like in all these environments, all of these things are against us. So oftentimes combining our efforts and basically sharing with other people what's working for us and just taking and asking other people what's working for them, it has tremendous impact on the performance that we get, right? So for example, if there are certain like things that are working right now, it's always best to be in the environment of people that know what's happening and maybe had experience dealing with things that you have challenges with. So for example, with our program, eCommerce Scaling Secrets, we have the private communities for people that do over $100,000 per month in sales. So we have pretty much structured, so everyone's like, asking questions, other people are contributing, sharing what's working for them. And so it's kind of a combination, compiled knowledge of multiple people, not just one person. Now, as a dropshipper, obviously, it's competitive space, right? You cannot share the products, you cannot share like exactly some of the more kind of like private things. But there is still some guidelines that, we are sharing with each other, like, okay, so that's working, that doesn't work. Okay, there is some person that can help you. And so we are helping each other in this whole kind of like community, right? Because only as a community we can do well. Sometimes like there are many different factors, there are many different kind of like forces that we are fighting against to just get ahead with our businesses. And so that's why learning from other people, taking advice, joining forces with other people helps a lot. So guys, these are some of the main things that I have learned from evaluating our students' results and why they're successful, why some people are more successful than others, and also why some people just don't do well because they're not following these guidelines. Now, if you want to be part of like our private mentorship community, eCommerce Scaling Secret, there should be a link below. So we typically help people who already do good volumes. So typically people who do like 10, 20, 50, $100,000 per month and just want to scale to the next level, want to disattach themselves from the business. So business not only dependent on them, but training like a media buyers properly, structuring the team, structuring the process so they can run multiple stores and projects at the same time effectively. So if you're looking for that, there should be a link below. You can apply and we'll see if we can help you. This is only for experienced entrepreneurs. It's not for people who are just like starting out. So this is it, guys. This is what I wanted to share with you. Take these things and apply them to your advantage. Just realize that maybe you haven't been like in the right community, or maybe you haven't been like thinking like critically. Maybe you have something that just like in front of you. Maybe you're selling in a specific country that has very low competition. For some reason you want to do international, right? So maybe there's like in your country, you can do like, $100, $200, $300,000 per month in sales, just replicating and selling the products that work in other markets, which, we've done many, many times. And other students have done as well. So think about it. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.